Hello and welcome to Matthew Millais Gray. It's me. You are the reason that I am here, and I thought what we could do today is we could open up the open circle live explorations just to have opportunity for friends, interested persons, observers to be able to get together and just chat on a Saturday evening, wherever you may be in the world. I have been focusing a lot on matters of ethics. So I thought what we could do is we could perhaps talk about that. So specifically when alleged crimes within a religious authority occur. So what's the ethical analysis of this? So this is the opportunity for us to be able to talk about these kind of things. Why? So that we can be solution oriented. When it happens, we're not shocked or with no way out, to be able to try and deal with these things in a positive way and see that there's some kind of justice, or see that there's some kind of way to halt these kind of activities rather than it just escalating and creating more and more problems. So if you happen to have joined again, good day to you, everybody that's here. So here's the situation. When we look at various institutions, we look at specifically religious organizations, because that has a different way of being handled as opposed to other institutions. There's certain things that come into play when you run a religious system or a religious order that introduces all kinds of complexities when it comes to behavior. And so in society, there's an assumption that a religious institution doesn't have, let's say, criminal elements running it, or in positions of leadership or oversight. And this is where problems come up. So many legal systems look at religious systems as having their own way of governing or detecting fraudulent things and dealing with that within the religious system. And so your state, in many places, they don't interfere with what goes on in religions. And so as a result, you might get some incentivized individuals there that are using the religion as, you could say, a possible front, or to protect themselves from doing certain things that are just not ethical or not even legal in the state for where they may be. So I thought we could look into that today and see if we can just clarify it and see what the type of solutions are. I don't claim to have all the solutions, but I think we are getting somewhere in trying to become more solution oriented. So let's start with the scenario without too much rambling going on. So in many congregations, there's a position called, let's say, for instance, a service overseer. In Jehovah's Witness culture, which is what I've had experience with, you have something called a service committee in each congregation. It's usually made up of a coordinator of a body of elders. Sometimes short form is COBE, C-O-B-E, but that is the coordinator of the body of elders. Then you have a secretary, and the secretary is a person that deals with correspondence, congregation files, filing systems, legalities, things like that. If there's a transfer of, say, for instance, congregants, secretary deals with that. So it's an administrative role. It's like a clerk of the congregation. And if there's legalities, that's the go-to person in the service committee. All right. They normally are the ones that take minutes of meetings or transcribe meetings in a congregation. Then you've got a third person. You've got the service overseer. Now, what does the service overseer do? Well, like the name suggests, the service overseer deals with anything to do with ministry. So you think of house-to-house ministry or various aspects of ministry that a congregation would be involved in Jehovah's Witness culture. And that is arranged by this individual. He coordinates that. Territories, make sure that the territories are done, that they're covered, usually in sort of cycles of about 3 months. For most congregations is considered a healthy turnover. And that's what he does. If there's problems in the ministry, for instance, there's something like safety issues, well, the service overseer would be alert to that. And of course, he communicates to the service committee, and the service committee would, by means of the coordinator of the body of elders, liaise with the rest of the elders if there were more than just 3 elders in the congregation. Yeah. So now, how do they get instructions? They get instructions from a branch, and the branch facility for that congregation communicates usually to the coordinator of the body of elders. Sometimes there's direct correspondence to, say, for instance, the secretary or to the service overseer, but that would be fairly unusual. There would just be basically the coordinator that would be controlling correspondence and direction from the branch headquarters or the branch for their region, and of course the region would connect to the world headquarters and direction from there, because each region might have different laws and different ways of doing things. So yeah, your regional office might look after a country or several countries in its zone or region, and that would be your general structure. Of course, there's a lot more to that, but we're just trying to simplify that structure for in terms of the discussion. So remember what the title is, or the theme is: when an alleged crime collides with religious authority. What's the ethical examination? What's the ethical analysis? So now that we've looked at the service committee structure, what happens if now you've got several congregations meeting in one Kingdom Hall facility, one building or one house or one rented space? What happens there with respects to who controls what? Because you might have several service committees, for each congregation or for each language. Now what happens? So in that scenario, you have like the mother congregation, the overseeing congregation. Now, that's important because you've got running costs for your Kingdom Hall facilities, or you've got running costs for correspondence or incidentary things, or renting of facilities. So, yeah, it's important from that perspective that you would have a controller congregation for the other congregations that are sharing facilities. Okay, so remember what the theme is. We'll keep coming back towards the theme. When alleged crimes collide with religious authority, because they do happen. They do happen. You can't say that just because you have a religion that it's crime-free. No. You would be living in an illusion if that were the case. You think about there are many scenarios where you've had institutions that are set up that are like a front face for organized crime, for instance. And so they've used this, mask of religion to kind of look holy or to look like they're legitimate. And meanwhile, behind the scenes, there's a disaster going on. Or you get harmful cults. What that would be a harmful cult situation, I suppose. But you have harmful cults that put congregants or those that join the religion in harm's way. Yeah, that would be definite rough stuff. And there would be a need for third-party intervention to keep communities safe. So some of the things that are often quoted is Jonestown scenario, where you had harm to community, and that's quoted as, you know, a harmful cult that's going on. And, you know, if you could imagine friends or family or yourself in the middle of that, how would you navigate it, especially if it's very high control and you've got unethical control, coercive control, criminal control coming in that's threatening you? How would you get help? Would the state just turn a blind eye to that because, no, this is freedom of religion? Is that what would happen? No, there should actually be safety policies in place to protect individuals from that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on in the scenario. We've spoken about structures of congregations. So in this particular scenario, I thought what we would do is we'd make up this situation with a service overseer, one of the three that make up the service committee for the congregation. So those are three elders, three leaders that are responsible for the congregation. And if they control the congregation, they might be looking after or coordinating communication with maybe other congregations that are sharing the facilities. So the service overseer is responsible in JW culture, Jehovah's Witness culture. He's responsible for congregation literature. Why? Because this is an asset. This is something that you can put monetary value on. You might have computers, you might have sound equipment, but this responsibility of literature comes under service overseer responsibility. So any who are familiar with JW culture would know about that, because the preaching campaign that is done by Jehovah's Witnesses, it's the drive, or how Jehovah's Witnesses are well known. They're known for being active preachers in the communities, and they're known for presenting literature like Watchtowers, Awake magazines, various books, Bibles and tracts out in the territory. Although now, yes, it's moved to more of a digital sharing to reduce costs, but still there is this physical literature that is produced, and it has costs involved. It has costs, believe it or not, even with volunteer workers, of how many hours go into that production. They do calculate the hours it takes to produce an item, and they do put a monetary value, though it might be very, very low for the volunteer that is putting in their free labor to produce those books. So on the system, which is called Hub, previously known as Admin 2000, they would actually calculate, well, this is how much it costs to feed, house, look after a permanent volunteer. All right. So there's that cost there. Then you've got your paper costs, your printing costs, your inks. And so those things are calculated, because they must be able to show these things, that they're not running at a loss, and are able to cover what's going on. Not yet. We're still trying to talk about the structure here of what the service overseer does in terms of responsibility for congregation literature, which is counted as an asset. Because when the circuit overseer arrives, who is a traveling overseer and a representative of the branch and also of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, that circuit overseer is an inspector. Though if you call him an inspector, you might be quite upset about that. but that is what he does. He is an inspector of congregations to make sure that they are meeting doctrine and meeting various codes and laws and things like this. And he is instructed to inspect, essentially, the congregation. So they will say, well, no, he's here to encourage and uplift the congregation. That'll be how they frame it and say, well, he's here for that purpose. But actually, he inspects books, makes sure that if there is tax that applies, that's done, and make sure that accounts are all done, and make sure that elders are in line, congregants are in line, and that they're doing what they are supposed to do. So that is a form of control that Jehovah's Witnesses have to try and uniformly make sure that everybody's in line. Have we got to the crime yet, or the alleged crime? I know, talking about some of these structures, it might go over people's head, but yeah, we're talking about from the perspective of Jehovah's Witnesses within the organizational structure, and it's not that different from many other structures. It might have different names for things, but essentially, you know, many institutions, businesses, and are run very similarly. You might just have a board of directors, or you might have managers. The names might change, but that's what we're talking about in the Jehovah's Witness structure. So the service overseer is responsible for the literature. We've put a quantity. We've been able to quantify that there is an asset there, right? And there is accountability, and it falls to that service overseer to be accountable. When the circuit overseer comes, who's the inspector, to say, well, yeah, this is what we've moved, this is what's on the records. These are, it will relate to donations coming in, for instance, and that's our inventory, that's what we've got there, and we hope that that meets with your criteria. Circuit overseer might say, no, you've overstocked. I am now instructing you to take those boxes of literature and send it to another congregation. We don't want you holding so much of Jehovah's Witness assets in the form of literature. Please move that on. Or he could say, yeah, I've got some flexibility. We will allow that. Yeah, just watch it. Make sure that can you move it? Yes. Okay. Well, just watch it that doesn't get too out of hand or beyond this kind of boundary. Or he might see that the congregation just isn't stocked enough, and he might say, well, hang on, you know, are you moving literature? What's going on? Does this relate to the preaching? You might ask a few questions about what's going on, because they want to see a healthy kind of turnover of literature, be it tracts or books or magazines. They would want to see that that is being handled correct. And the person that the circuit overseer goes to is the service overseer. You might even say that the service overseer does more work than the secretary. You could even say that the service overseer does more work than the coordinator, although that might shift from congregation to congregation. But sometimes being the service overseer can be the pivotal thing, not necessarily the coordinator of the body of elders. Usually when you have full-time servants, full-time elders or Jehovah's Witnesses that have made a career in the religion, they rush towards trying to get in or become a service overseer, because it's seen as quite an important role. So there might be a bit of competition for that that goes on. Yeah. So we've talked about literature having some kind of significant quantitative value in terms of assets, and you imagine over many congregations, thousands of congregations, that would add up to a lot of money on the books. And that's why this subject is very, very interesting with respects to what actually happens to this literature if it maybe goes missing, or there's some kind of business that comes into play. Perhaps the service overseer decides, you know what I'm going to do? I've got a whole stack of Bibles here. I'm going to start charging people for them. If I can find a school that wants them, I might send boxes of these out, and I might start bringing in a few dollars or a bit of money. See, that would be an abuse of his authority. Does that happen? Well, that's why the circuit overseer is sent. He's sent there to investigate if there is some kind of story or some kind of report that something unethical like that is occurring. And of course, he would call the service overseer in and say, well, are you heading that? Are you aware that congregants are charging or making a business out of this? Because, we need to shut that down. We need to make persons responsible, and there may be tribunal, and there might be legal consequences involved. And so that would fall on the service overseer. So could a service overseer be charged with theft? Could that happen? Yes, could happen. Now he faces not just Jehovah's Witness tribunal, that would be seen as a separate thing, that's an internal arrangement, but now he could face a knock on the door and police arriving and saying, oh, we've got allegations that you're involved in this. We'd like to question you down at the station. And now he's in serious trouble. He's got to try and defend himself or call in lawyers, or if he is guilty, he's going to go to prison or he's going to be fined. Something to think about, eh? So we've reviewed that within the organizational structure, within a congregation, you've got a head controller congregation which oversees multiple sub-congregations. Service overseer reports this, or reports to the controlling body made up of 3: service committee coordinator, known as COBE, coordinator of the body of elders, secretary, he's the service overseer. That makes up 3 in the service committee. So for the controller congregation, which oversees multiple sub-congregations, that's the structure. So you might have one service overseer that reports to this controlling body and is responsible for safeguarding literature under their care. This means that when a circuit overseer visits other congregations, he doesn't call on other service overseers to account for the literature. He knows there's one service overseer involved in the theocratic structure or in the institutional structure that he must talk to and find out what's going on. Yeah. And if there's something wrong, that service overseer's got to answer. So according to official policy, if there's a theft or there's a misappropriation of literature or property or donations belonging to Jehovah's Witnesses, you've got an account server, for instance, somebody who's checking money from the boxes, and he's checked with another individual. There's 2 that check the box. That's the money that comes in physically, besides digital transfers, actual physical money that's put into boxes. If things don't tally, the persons that are in charge of those boxes, if there's $1 out, they've got to account for it. And there are situations where things haven't tallied, and for maybe a minimal amount, somebody might consider this a minimal amount, there have been charges. It's not just a matter of that account servant saying, oh, well, what are we missing? $1,000 here? Here's $1,000 out of my pocket. We'll just balance it. I mean, we're all friends here. No, he could face criminal charges. And in fact, you've got congregations which are very, very strict like that, and you'd be amazed at the kind of scenarios that happen, where now there is a report to police and an account server is in a lot of trouble because he thought he was a little bit more free to maybe just write out a receipt later on, and you might not have bad intentions, but the religion comes down on them, says, no, you took liberties, and we are coming down on you for that. That never happens again. So the same kind of thing happens with the service overseer. If there's a theft, there's a misappropriation, or some kind of red flag that goes up, Jehovah's Witness elders are instructed to act immediately. They must act by going to law enforcement. And some say, but don't they phone the branch? Don't they phone the branch? Isn't there some sort of delay? When it comes to a theft, when it comes to property, when it comes to assets, you may find that your elders have like a very quick direct line where they punch it in on their phone and they phone the police about that. And the next thing, you've got red and blue lights, and off goes your service overseer, or off goes your account servant, and now they become part of prison witnessing. Jehovah's Witnesses would go and visit the prison and hope he repents of something. Go and preach to that person, or inform them that they've been removed from the congregation, something like that. Yeah. Is it a laughing matter? No, it's not. It's very serious. We're talking about people's lives here. So when it comes to theft or misappropriation of literature or property belonging to Jehovah's Witnesses, elders are instructed immediately to go and notify police. Now I'm just going to take a pause and respond to the chat there. Peps 1975, great to see you. Saying, hi Matt, it's disgusting considering these people are all volunteers. Yeah, it really is. It really is. It's very alarming to know that you're a volunteer and you're under such tight control, or that you thought that you had certain freedoms. In fact, you just don't. Or you might have certain ones that are incentivized, that become controllers, who have more liberty. But when it comes to others that are under their control and they feel that they're above these volunteers, that they just rule with an iron fist. They're off at the golf course and they expect the volunteers to be doing the work. Get these kind of imbalances. It absolutely happens. Yeah, so you're right. It's disgusting that happens. And I normally like to say that in these institutions, religious or JW, you've got your wheat. Those are your genuine good people. And you've got your weeds. And your weeds seek out positions of authority, or they make cliques and they hide, behind the good people. That's the front that's there. And just like you get abusive religions that get caught out in these front page news scandals, you can bet that absolutely happens in JW, and that is the increasing concern that brings in these kind of considerations. That is really disgusting what occurs. It's very sad. But what are the solutions? Because we want to talk about these things in a way that we can actually fix the situation. It's very important, whether we're a JW or not. This makes up our community, and it affects the way that we live and interact with each other. You might have innocent people that are trapped in these situations, high control situations, that are captive because of the way that the system is run, where your volunteers are being abused and they're trapped in that situation. Pep, so you found that a lot of the higher ups are the least humble. That is a frequent report. And, we mustn't, how can I say, mustn't be fooled by soft tones. I talk about soft tones. You can have a person who is not humble, who has like this pseudo humility. When I use the word pseudo, I mean that's a mask. Pseudo is a fake presentation. So they talk to you with the right kind of language, well presented, polite. But you think about a villain in, let's say, for instance, a spy thriller. You often find that the spy thriller, you've got your hero that's in the spy thriller, and they meet up with the mastermind. The mastermind is usually very elegant, well dressed, and maybe even hospitable. Welcome to my lair. Welcome to my facility. Mr. Hero, Mr. Spy, and would you like to try my latest caviar that I've had flown in? And the spy's going, no way, I'm touching that. That's poisoned, or I'm going to go under. So you have charisma from these higher ups, and he's humble. When they get you into a closed door scenario, the mask often drops. And like Peps quite rightly says, I've found a lot of the higher ups are the least humble. So that's been your experience. I want to tell you up front, that's been my experience as well. I think you know enough about me that I'll commit to that. The mask drops if they feel that they can isolate you, and you realize this is bad, real bad. Okay, and I've got to say allegedly. I've got to use words like allegedly, because we're talking about a system that has had a lot of practice when it comes to playing the system. Yeah. Peps, may I ask you a technical question? How's the sound? Is there echo? Is there problem? Does it sound good? If you don't mind, I'd like a little comment, please, just to know that this is working. That would be confidence booster. What are you saying there, Pep? So true. You can sense that from "We love you very much" on the broadcast. Yes. Well, I think about a story of Al Capone where he talks about all he wanted was respect, or all he does was provide. But I'm using that as an example that, you can have somebody who's considered notorious like Al Capone. Many would regard that the story of Al Capone as criminal syndication. And very often you find with gangsters that they tell their family, you are our family. We love you. I love you. And of course they do. Of course they do. They rely on their structure in order to get things done. And you could say that, countries have been described as just, the successful gangster that's taken over the territory and then becomes the leading politician. That's been said, and you could argue that very much applies in the way that the world is divided up. Peps, thank you very much for your feedback. I'm glad to hear that it's very good. That is the confidence booster I'm looking for. So thank you for that feedback. So coming back to our scenario, what happens, with a criminal situation, an alleged crime that's colliding with religious authority, or under this guise of religious authority. What actually happens? Because like we get comments from Peps here, and also myself, you've got these scenarios that come up that are just dreadful. And if you're in this captive situation and you are legitimate, what do you actually do? Peps, thanks very much for your compliments. Really appreciate that. So this, let me get my thought back together. According to official property or policy when it comes to property and assets, if there's a theft or something goes wrong, there is actually procedures in place that are supposed to work. Now, you could ask the question, does anybody know how that's supposed to work? You might have heard of the two-witness rule, for instance. You might have heard of Matthew 18:15-35, which would be the scriptural precedent for dealing with situations where things go wrong. But it's often a misapplied scripture, and it depends who's in control and who has knowledge of things and who is very aware of how the system works, who can gain the upper hand of things. But normally your action requires a couple of steps. So I'm going to go into that. Here's your steps. First, when it comes to a theft, you phone the police. Surprised? No, don't be. That's what's supposed to happen, right? You have a theft, you call the police, you call the enforcement agency, police station, get hold of the DWO, the detective warrant officer, or whoever's in command of that station, and you write an affidavit and you say, there's my complaint, that's what's happened, this is what's outlined, gets signed, submit it. Or it's a deposition. If you don't want to press charges, you might make a deposition and there's an assessment and they say, well, you know what, you actually have a case here. Change it to a signed affidavit and press charges if you want. That's what technically should happen. So anyway, you first notify the police of the incident, you describe to them what's happened. And then second, in Jehovah's Witness structure, you have the tribunal. It's an internal religious tribunal, okay? And that's to address now the spiritual concerns. They say, no, that's what we deal with. We concerned about that. We have jurisdiction over the spirituality of the congregation, and we can impose discipline. We can prescribe that. So, yeah, the internal religious tribunal addresses spiritual concerns, prescribes restrictions, takes away privileges, or isolates the person. Yeah, that's what the disfellowshipping arrangement or the shunning arrangement, or you want to say the removal arrangement, if you want to use the right terminology, that's what that's all about. Okay, it's to say, well, we tell people that the removal arrangement is to shock the person to some kind of sensibility to repent and to say if they've stolen something, well, they've come back with commensurate works to pay back what was taken, or to make good what was taken. Maybe they pay back more. Maybe they can't pay back, but they make apology and they make efforts to try and rectify things. And so that's what the tribunal on paper is said to do. That's the idea. It might work very, very differently for persons that are in the know as to what its real agenda is. But anyway, coming back to our scenario, you've got a dual track, you could say, approach that reflects the organization's stated commitment to accountability. So in practice, what sometimes occurs is very, very different. Okay. And these are the concerns that reach courts and supreme courts. You know, you think about Norway going, well, have they come up with how to deal with their dilemma? That, very interestingly, was what many congregants were finding who were getting removed in very unusual ways. Guess what? It now started spilling over into the state. And of course, Norway as a state had to deal with that. And we're yet to hear definitively how they are going to resolve unblocking their double bind, their ethic. They kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't dilemma, and they want it unblocked by the Supreme Court. So it'll be very interesting to hear what happens on that front. But when powerful leaders within the organization take materials, we were talking about literature here, libraries, for instance, boxes of books and magazines. When powerful leaders take materials like that, in this case, without following proper procedure. So say, for instance, you get a COVID, comes in, and he decides he's going to unlock the door, where the literature is, and he's going to help himself to boxes of literature and not inform the service overseer. I'm going to ask the audience, do you think that's ethical? What would happen to that coordinator of the body of elders if he's been clandestine about it, if he's been secretive about it, and he's got some kind of agenda, or maybe hasn't even got an agenda, but he's just decided, no, I'm going to take a chance. I'm not going to inform the service overseer, and I'm going to do this. I'm just going to help myself to the literature, not tell him. Well, imagine that the circuit overseer arrives a week later, says to the service overseer, well, let's take a look at your inventory. And the circuit overseer says, I notice you've got a few boxes missing. The service overseer goes, well, it wasn't like that last week. What's happened? What's happened? Circuit overseer says, you better find it. You better track it down, because I don't see this reflected on your books. We've got a variance, and an important variance. You better get to it. You can be sure that service overseer is motivated to find out what's happened. Imagine he comes to the circuit overseer and says, I just don't know. Circuit overseer might question that service overseer and say, listen, you're responsible for this. I'm definitely going to bring this up at the elders meeting that's coming up. And your qualifications are on the line. If this body of elders thinks that you are incompetent, you're in trouble. So I'm going to put it to them. I'm not going to make any decision. I'm going to put it to them, and we're going to discuss by unanimous vote what should be done. Should an investigation be done? And we will certainly do that. And if we find that you have been negligent or incompetent, yeah, you're going to lose privileges. We might say that we extend mercy and give you a red card or a warning. We might do that. Or we might just remove you outright. Usually it's a removal outright. You'll find that it's not actually a warning. They might go, no, we're showing you love, we're removing you. It's so hard for us to do this. Yeah. So powerful leaders within the organization, they might take materials. You might get a coordinator of the body of elders that thinks that he's in charge of everybody, can do what he likes. Or you have another congregant that has got some kind of agenda. Maybe he's got some kind of business going and he's selling Bibles on the quiet. There's all kinds of scenarios that could happen where materials disappear and now the service overseer is accountable. So without following proper procedure, it might happen in a sub-congregation. Sub-congregations just help themselves to literature. They haven't reported it in the proper channels. Service overseer of the leading congregation is now in trouble. He's got to try and account for this. And yeah, it's a very sticky situation. PEPs. I feel sorry for the account servant. I didn't realize they could be in so much trouble if they make a mistake. Oh, yes. That one's more common. I would say that one's more common than the service overseer thing, but that's only from my experience. I found that your account server gets a criminal record. And all they have to do is they go, he was spiritually weak. And I'll tell you how easy that happens. You get get your account servant, you get an assistant. So they clear the box of physical cash. And they go, oh, it's late, man. Let's go to, fast food place and catch a bite. I'm just whack tired. We'll handle this a week later or whatever. Okay, and they go, oh, got no cash. They pay for coffee or whatever with that cash, and they make a note and an agreement together. And if that is discovered, both red card. They now face potential legal charges. If the congregation finds out that that's done, they actually go through these practice scenarios, in elders courses where they might play out something like this, and they say, well, what should you do? Elder puts up his hand, say, you should report this matter to the police. And you go, yes. And the next elder, and they should have a tribunal. They say, yes, that's correct. Hello, Happy Thoughts. Good to have you with us. Just responding to Peps there. You used to be the assistant. You were never told that. Yeah, of course. Information is power. So there's a lot of things that don't know about. There is the Elders Manual, now known as the Shepherding Book, Shepherding the Flock of God book, or the new update that should be coming out around about now. That's not something that the congregation is generally privy to, but you think about service desk at the branch, service desk correspondence guidelines. The congregation has no idea about how that works. And then your circuit overseer has his circuit overseer manual. He's got his circuit overseer guide, and he's got his own personal file where they've done a personal qualifications report, and all his dirt is on the front page, and he has to read that on the front page. When he opens the file, his circuit overseer file, he has to read what a terrible person he is. He has to read his weaknesses and his embarrassments and all that, and they say that keeps him humble. What it actually is it's an emotional threat. We'll you see this thing? You know exactly what you are. We know what you are, and we've said, we forgive you much, therefore you will do much. Isn't Jehovah generous? So you can see the potential manipulation that goes on there. But the circuit overseer has, in that file, it's got circuit overseer guidelines. Elders are not privy to. They would only be privy to that if now the branch has said to the circuit overseer, listen, you need to get potential helpers to act as shadow circuit overseers. All right? They're going to assist you, and you're going to train them, and we might make them auxiliary circuit overseers or substitute circuit overseers with the potential to becoming permanent ones. But we don't actually want too many permanent ones. We'd like more substitute circuit overseers, and they would have a different manual. Guess what? Doesn't stop there. You then have not just service desk manuals and correspondence guidelines, but you have the branch manual as well. Branch manual is a whole other thing. Inside there, they tell the branch committee, you are not to treat this as a corporation. Do not refer to this as a corporation. They are reminded, do not refer to this as a corporation. Why would they have to remind them of this? Because it works like a corporation. That's why. But that's a whole other manual. Now, that's about as far as I can go with those manuals. I've got other manuals I've accumulated. I've got manuals of branch systems, for instance, that I've sometimes shown the audience. I said, well, I'll take a look at this. They'd love to have that back, I'm sure. You know, but they might just go, we don't care. But the point is that these manuals, they're not open to the rest of the congregation because information is power. That is how you create your artificial authority structure, or your actual authority structure. I shouldn't say artificial. Your actual authority structure is there by power, because if you don't know things, you have to ask. You have to ask about things. Asking. So even in that word of asking, you can see there's a leadership and there's a subordinate. So information is power. Yeah, it is amazing, Peps, that people actually agree to do these jobs. I was one of them. You were another. Now, I chuckle about it, and I get into trouble for chuckling, but that's my coping mechanism. So forgive me if that offends anybody, but I do chuckle about these things because, yeah, like you say, considering they don't even get paid and you work your backside off. You work incredibly hard. I see you chuckling there. Caught you. So, yeah, it is incredible. And yeah, because one believes God is involved. Wow, you really believe it, genuinely, or you've cultivated that, or you've been born into that situation. Yes, you come in and you are convinced that that is how it works. Gee, wow, what a number, hey? What a psychological number. And you get somebody like Dr. Stephen Hassan, who, whether you agree with him or not, he's been able to do a lot of work in showing how these systems work, not just religiously, but also in governance. Because governance does work with religion. You've got religion and state that have this this cooperation together, and that's why you can get a religion that has a tax exemption. That's why, because it benefits the state to have people that are compliant in these ways. Psychospiritual compliance. Now, where am I? Oh, yes, we're talking about potential crimes. So, yeah, and in a situation where you've got an alleged crime, yeah, let's say that the coordinator has helped themselves to literature or helped themselves to the cash and said, nah, it's petty cash, who cares? We're going to go and get coffee with that. Yeah, you've got a case there where there hasn't been the following of proper procedure. And the subcongregation, which in our scenario maybe has done that, the coordinator of that subcongregation might think that he's one of the boys. He might think he's part of the clique and he's gone and done that. And he might simply come to the service overseer in the mother coordinating congregation and says, listen, you can't do a thing. You can't do a thing. No, it's Peps, I enjoy being sidetracked. Come, sidetrack me. Come and sidetrack me. This, you know what it is. I decided I'm going to talk about something, but at the same vein, what is having a live stream about it? Having a live stream is about community. So you know what? I should also remember what this open circle is about. And I should actually say, Peps, what do you want to talk about? If you've got something on your mind, feel very, very free to put that in the comments or to even come on the show. That's what it's for. And I realize that there's a busy weekend. Sheila, yes, you are very welcome to come and join on the screen if that's working for you, which it has done. Or Peps, I think you did give that a shot before. You're very welcome to come on the screen. Yeah. Now I've got to just put back into the comments what the link is. So let me do that. And I think I'm starting to navigate this a little bit better. There we go. You should see a link there. So there's Video Ninja. Been hearing about that, but it works pretty much like StreamYard. And Sheila, I think you were becoming more au fait with that. And we were having some success with that. And I hope also that we've got a stable stream, because the statistics from YouTube are telling me that the stream is stable. But sometimes persons say, no, it's getting jittery. I don't know why that happens. It's probably an ISP thing, because all the stats my side look correct. And then sometimes it just drops out, and then YouTube moans and says, oh, the stream is about to collapse, and it does. Sheila, hello. How do you do? And I think I can even hear you.
Yes.
Well, that was easy. It's never been that easy. Sometimes really strong, but it's great to see you. Peps, just before anything happens, do you mind telling us, can you hear Sheila and myself, or is it just me living in an illusion? I'll tell you what, we'll carry on, Sheila, until we are told otherwise by those in the live stream chat. Okay. Sheila, first of all, welcome on board. Really great to have you, and good to have chats with you. I think we've had some really good, productive chats. I know that you've given me a lot of food for thought recently. I've been thinking about corporal punishment, and I feel, based on your contribution there, that yes, that is a problematic thing. What is the point of failure that happens in that scenario? Because you can read from a Bible, that corporal punishment was something that was done in the past. As long as you're reading from the Bible, they can't really press you.
Yeah.
And you challenged me there, and I had to go back and look at records. And where the records show something up there, and I think it does relate to our discussion. You can tell me, no, Matt, you really deviated here. But it's when something goes wrong. I was choosing literature as assets, but this is another scenario that did actually happen. Was this matter of corporal punishment? I got an instruction from service desk, go and correct it, and it was in writing. And I made sure it was in writing. And I didn't stop there. I went to the research department. I said, can you just confirm that this is accurate? Research department confirmed it. And they said, you need to correct it. We'll tell you why. It is against the law. It is against the law. And they said, if somebody acts upon it, we are liable. So you might say, well, we go to the, Matt, you will go into the police, forget it, because it's in the Bible, they can do this. But because that was in writing, it changes the dynamic of things, especially if you've now seen what subsequent meetings and what subsequent actions the congregation took to try and avoid a potential liability. Now there's something else. So you could say, no, from a biblical point of view, it's there and we can let it go. Quite right. But when the branch has now instructed, go and correct it. You haven't acted autonomously. You are acting according to an instruction. Now they can say that there's plausible deniability. They can say, no, we don't know what you're talking about. So it's very important to have those things in print, that they directed. When you called the service desk and said, I'm an elder, this is what's happened, what do I do? That now they're accountable even more. Here's where it goes further. If it reaches branch committee level, and branch committee, not just research department, not just service desk has given instruction, but now the branch committee learns of it and goes, ooh, we are obligated to report this to the governing body. We have to send this forward. And you find there's a record, and you get a receipt that has gone to the governing body level. Now, I wonder if that changes things, Sheila.
I don't know.
I'll put you on the spot, and I didn't mean to do
Yeah, well,
that.
it's already in the Shepherd of Flock. The instructions are in there. But when you go to when I found, as I said before, when I went to the police, they just said, well, they used to stone them in Israel. He said it's in the Bible. He said they've got freedom of speech. This was about viewing
corn on the cob.
Yes.
Yeah, corn on the cob, folks. Yeah.
But another local Bobby just said, well, as I said before, you've reported it. He said you've gone as far as you can go, but what you've said, and also the email I sent them, he said that will go higher up. But of course, if they're involved in it as well, which I'm not saying that they are, but if they are, what can they do?
I think that's why the Norway case is such an important case, because even if there's no real justice that occurs, and we always sort of find that you know, when it gets to a Supreme Court, there's always this sort of middle ground thing, and trying to be and more towards a conservative side that they decide upon. So it's not even middle ground. It's they determine what the middle ground is, and they try and go on the conservative side of it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I still think that that's going to be a very important precedent, because Norway's in a dilemma. What's the
Yes, they
dilemma?
are.
The dilemma is, if they provide subsidies, that's unethical. They're getting into trouble for that. That's what
Yes.
they're concerned about. They're concerned
Yeah.
that there's watchdogs on them that are coming and saying, hey, you can't facilitate this, it's unethical. You know, we're going to impose some screws on you. But if they remove the subsidy, the catch-22 situation is, no, you're unethical because you're discriminating.
Yes. Yeah. It will be interesting to see what Sam Carling can do from Parliament, from the House of Commons, because they can't touch him. He's got protection of being in parliamentary nuances. So that will be interesting. And then what he called Cameron, it was from
right.
a Welsh.
You're quite correct. Yeah, Cameron. He's the opposition party.
Yes, yes. I thought that was very interesting. Was he independent? I think he was independent.
We're getting a few messages coming in, Sheila. We got Lot J8B saying Anne-Marie's on Rick's show, and you're watching that show. You're very welcome. I'm glad. Anne-Marie, I really respect Anne-Marie. I think she's great fun. I think she's very wise. And so if you're going there, please enjoy and send her my best wishes. I just set this up kind of as an experiment and as a bit of an interim between, you know, what happens, you know, so by all means, please feel free and send our best respects. Another message that came in, Sheila, was PEPS 1975. What are you referring to? I'm referring to when things go wrong, when there's an alleged crime. In South Africa, for instance, PEPS, just to be clear, if you beat a child, even at home, it's against the law. So if you've got elders saying, oh, we expect you to obey us, and corporal punishment is on the table because that's how we interpret the Bible, and then a congregant takes a child maybe to a back room or out in the parking lot and beats the child, or there's a report that that's happening at home, then they've acted on the advice in a captive system of the leadership. So that would now create a liability. And by the way, the police do look for that. But it's very, very difficult to report if persons get afraid and don't come forward as witnesses. It becomes very, very difficult. And the police might say, no, we don't want to touch this. Don't want to touch it. You know, it's got to get to a certain saturation point. We'll investigate a little bit, but we've got more things to deal with. Sheila, does that just about cover it? And does it cover your thoughts?
Yes. Because I think we're at a bit of a stalemate at the moment with things. But they are coming out. I thought it was interesting what Vern was talking about as well today, that you can actually sue Watchtower for nothing. And there's a couple of big firms. What's one? Zanklin. And they're going to do like a pro bono case that they will take quite a number of people and they'll do it for free unless they win.
I think that's the way to do it, because in JW society, when it's got to this stage, you find that people have become disenfranchised and extremely vulnerable.
Yeah, so that will cover all aspects of what's going on, not just one thing.
Yeah, and you can't say money's evil.
No,
they got to work. That's the modern system of evaluating time and energy, isn't it? Really. Yeah. Just before I carry on, was there anything else on your mind? It doesn't have to steer according to this particular direction, but I was going to try and act upon some of the or share thoughts about based upon how you challenge things. And that my intention wasn't to flatten you. My intention is to say, I wonder if we can take this forward to see if we can feel out what the solution is, you know. And I certainly respect your your views here, Sheila?
Don't know as I have any in particular, because I think the whole system is not good.
No.
And from the higher echelons.
Yes.
And it's talking about everything.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about religion and doctrines. We're looking at the political side of it. We're looking at the religious side and the commerce, the commercial side of it.
Yeah.
And they're all involved.
Yeah. So yeah, how is it that you can have a politician or some kind of leader or some kind of spy agent that operates for 10 years or in a 10-year window or more?
Yes.
That there were charges and then it takes 10 years or more to put them into prison.
That's right.
Something's wrong.
It is.
Something's really wrong. If you don't send in a tax return, when do you get summoned?
Yeah. Yeah. They'll be on you're on your back right away.
Yeah. Or if you get a speeding ticket or something.
Yeah.
It's going to be very swift. Very swift, yeah.
But what comes down to addressing real problems that personally affect humanity, it's sort of well, it goes before the courts, and then it goes to sort of we'll take out, like, go to Parliament and let's see if we can pass a law, and that drags out for ages. And so what's really important is put on the back burner somehow, even though they say they're doing something. And as you say, it takes years to actually address it.
Yeah, indeed. We've got a question in the chat there. When did Sheila come on? I don't know. You've been on for a few minutes now, eh?
Yes.
About 10 minutes almost, I think. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I'll give you another thing to think about now. Ooh. Maybe I'm putting you on the spot and getting the
no, it's okay. It's okay.
Gray
if I can't
cells
answer, I can't answer.
burning here. Yeah. Sheila, invariably, my experience, and I'm just talking from my experience, and I should always say, you know, whatever we discuss this thesis, present the antithesis for synthesis, have a healthy skeptical view, and use essential critical thinking, because these scenarios, it's about stimulating thinking for solutions. And so we're coming in from an education point of view, and again, coming up with answers to try and make things better. You know, it's not like let's try and tear things down. If the JW environment was addressing these kind of problems, I don't think we would be out. I don't think we'd be out at all, because there was a sense of community and there were other things. Even if there were some slight doctrinal things, we could tolerate it. But because things came to such a saturation point or an impossibility to function, which is what happened to Norway and their dilemma, it's not even necessary that a person has to be removed because of some kind of major sin, which would be in JW culture something like smoking or stealing or fornicating or, you know, something like that. But being removed because there's a potential liability, or just being ground to paralysis because any decision you make is just wrong, because it exposes the system as not having the people's interests at heart, and essentially they're putting Christ to death over and over and over again. And that's the scenario. So yeah. Pip says,
so are you saying that if they did away with it, they overlooked like the shunning, the corn, and all these other things, that the religion as a religion would be okay to be with?
It's a very difficult question to answer, that one, because once you come out, Pandora's box has been opened.
That's right. You can't unsee what you're finding out.
Yeah. So I'm going to make a personal expression, and I'll commit to it. I can't unsee the things that I have seen. And just my presence, just my quiet presence would create a problem. It really would, because they are reminded every day, just by seeing my face. We're on the record. We're on the record here. I want to keep including Peps here because Peps has stayed on board. Peps was just talking about when did Sheila come out? And then underneath says 28 days. I had this conversation with my wife today. She said she would still be in, but as soon as I got a sniff, it wasn't true. I was gone. So, so Peps, thanks for putting that there. It sounds like a big story there. It sounds like a big story, and it sounds like there's a lot of details. And just from what you're talking about, if I can sort of piece it together, yeah, you've got some real difficulties there because this is your intimate acquaintance that's, discovering this and that you're having to deal with. And this is why it makes it so difficult. It becomes very difficult because it is family and friends and intimate acquaintance that these things affect, and it's these ethics that we're trying to. We're not necessarily talking about somebody that has, broken an obvious rule, though there may be reasons for that because there's systemic failure that's led to that, and persons become desperate and say, "I need to just get out. I need to get out. I don't care how. I just need to get out." Yeah, I don't know how to answer you, Peps. It sounds like there is a lot more involved there, but I acknowledge it and I empathize.
Yes,
Sheila,
I do.
Are you able to see the chat?
No, I can't see it. I don't know how to do it.
Okay, all right. Then Sheila, I'm just sort of drawing it into our conversation just to be inclusive, because the idea is community. That's,
yes,
not Matt prattling on
and me.
It's not supposed to be. Yeah.
No, I can't see the chat at all. I don't know how to get it up.
Okay, then I'll just read it. I'll read it out to you then, like I've been doing. And I think we're up to date. We're up to date on the chat. There's not an overwhelming amount there.
If I put it on one of my other iPads, would it not interfere with this?
Yeah, I think it's about volume, isn't it? It's about if there's volume there, Yeah.
Well, if I turned it down and just read the comments.
Yeah, you could do that. Peps gives apologies, says, "Sorry guys, I meant we were asking the same question you guys were asking." Okay. Thumb up. Thumb up. Okay, Sheila, you go and check that out. Let's see if we can sort out volumes and things like that for echoes. But yeah, that's probably a good solution, like that. Peps, what are we talking about? You're going to have to remind me, because my mental bandwidth's sort of like that much. So I apologize as well, but sometimes I lose it. I sort of, well, I don't know what I'm talking about. I think I'm talking about when something goes wrong. That's sort of a legal or even a doctrinal dilemma. That's what I'm talking about. And I started off with assets and saying, well, who's accountable, and what if somebody like a coordinator of another congregation is I'm going to say allegedly stolen books, for instance, and now it falls onto your service overseer. And I think you brought up the account servant as well. Yeah, account servant, if there's money that's missing or there's some kind of variance, guess what? They are accountable, and they could go to the clink, the prison, or have to answer some very, very delicate questions. Yeah. Sheila, how are you doing there for your iPad?
Yes, I've got the chat up and it's not interfering with anything.
Ooh, this is good. This is, yeah. You see, we're getting better and better at this. Wow, that's a wonderful tablet. Am I allowed to be slightly envious?
Are you? Why?
I'm slightly envious. I think that's a great solution, because you can see clearly on that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Great. I use this magnifying glass. Every now and then this pops up.
Right. I've actually bought myself a MacBook as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Guess
Right,
what?
just try and-
Somebody's popping up on the.
Yeah, I
I
can see that
can't
they're
point to
coming
it, but
up.
it's underneath yours.
Yeah, it's here. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Somebody's popping up. Maybe I can sort of assist them a little bit. I can see them in video. No, they've got to sort it out. They've got to do that. But anyway, welcome on board, and I hope it all works out for you, and we'll hear you when we hear you.
Can you hear me?
Peps,
Yes,
that's
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi guys.
I recognize that voice.
The bummy voice. No, I just wanted to clarify basically what it was. I asked the same question that you was asking is if the governing body changed their like policies on shunning and etc. All the weird policies they've got, would you still be in? Because basically my wife went to the memorial, and when she got back she was saying, oh, I really missed it, I missed the singing and I missed the the sort of community. And I just says, well, if they change their policies, would you go back? And she was like, yeah, you know what I mean? So but all I was trying to say is, for me, it was the only reason I used to go is because I believe that it was true.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As soon as I found out it wasn't true, I was out of there. Because it is a big ask, isn't it? It's like we was just talking, the things they ask you to do, like the volunteering and all this responsibility. Do you know what I mean? I was only doing it because I believe that God was asking me to do it. I weren't doing it for the sort of camaraderie or anything like that. Although that it was nice, but I was just I was just trying to sort of point you back to that. So that's what I was trying to get over to you in the comments, mate. It was a bit confusing.
Yeah. Well,
can you see me, by the way, or is it?
No,
can you see me?
I can hear. I can just hear you.
Oh, okay.
Sound right.
It's probably a good thing.
Don't worry about it. I can come on. You can come on.
Yeah.
Can I just answer what you asked, Peps? When did I come out?
Oh, yeah, that's it. I was interested, yeah.
Yeah, it started in about 2015. I started to...
Oh, okay.
It took me a few years. I've been out fully for about 2 to 3 years.
Right, okay. Oh, so you stayed in. You was like a PMO for quite a while there.
Yeah, yes, I was. And they were saying things that just weren't adding up. And I thought, oh, well, Jehovah knows what he's doing. And it'll all sort out. But then I started to look. I didn't use anything else but the JW publication and the script, their own Bible, and the interlinear.
Yeah.
I didn't stray out anywhere. I didn't look at
No
YouTube. Nothing.
material,
Nothing. No, nothing. And I could see the misapplication of scriptures, the alterations of the scriptures, putting words in that weren't there by comparing the interlinear and other translations. And then I started to buy the hard copies of different translations of the Bible. I have about 15 copy translations here.
You went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, so I got somebody ringing me up and say, what does it say in what other translations? I used to read it to them, what it said.
Yeah.
So because somebody else was looking at the same thing. And
what, another witness?
Another witness.
Right.
An elder. And he was asking questions. And I used to say to my friends, we've got a question that we had to find the answer to, which wasn't in agreement with what the organisation was actually saying.
Right.
And it's very difficult, as you both know, it's very difficult to do that, because who are you going to ask? Are they going to talk to another elder about it? Are they going to be like a policeman? So there was AD, which you've known about, and who else was there? And not somebody else who's still a witness. But I could see, and I just said to this other person, this elder, don't ask any more questions in front of her. It's not going down well. And then another friend of mine came in, it's called Kath, who's somebody else that lives in this apartment block where I am. So that was 2 of us. But because her husband was very poorly and eventually died, she said, I can't come out. I have to be in to see my husband again, because he said
Yeah.
to her, I'm just looking at the thing that's just come up
Yeah,
now.
that's the
Two
trouble. 'Cause
cases.
they've got you.
Yes, but when they came out with the watchtower, that you can speak to your family after 39 years of not speaking to her daughter, she went mad, and she actually rang another elder up, and he said, have you been speaking to this apostate sister, which was me, which I wasn't. I was still a witness at the time. I haven't been anything. I was still going to. Well, I didn't go to Kingdom Hall. I just sort of listened. We used to put our iPads in the bedroom and shut the door and come and watch television.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did that. Yeah, there was a lot doing that, I think, during COVID.
Yeah, well, COVID did me a favour. The lockdown did me a real favour. So we used to run back in to see what was said in the announcements, and if anybody asked anything, we could say, "Oh, did you see that announcement?"
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all coming out now.
So if anybody asked a question about something that was discussed in the watchtower, we used to say, "Well, we must have gone to the toilet at that time."
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it was yeah, fascinating though. Yeah, so you came out probably about the same time as me then, Sheila.
Yeah, probably. What about 2023-ish, about that
Yeah,
time?
yeah, I think mine was
fully
2022.
came out. Yeah, and then I wrote. I sent a text to one of the elders. But first of all, one of the elders, who was a plumber, was doing some jobs for me, and I just said to him, "Are we part of the Mormons?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, why can't I go on to John Smith Foundation and put in one of our videos, Walk by Faith, Not by Sight?" That took me to a link, which then took me back to JW website. And I said, how's that happening? He said, oh, right, I'll have a look. And then he came back and just said, well, it's to do with copyright. And I just thought, what's that got to do with anything?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So what, they were using the same videos as us?
Yeah, you can get all the same videos. And then there was the Ullswater Buttermere Apartments.
Oh, no.
And it used to say, click here, and it took you back to the JW website. And and they've altered it now. It doesn't do that now, so you can't prove anything. But I just thought,
It is very disturbing, though,
in?
isn't it? It's so disturbing when you find out.
What am I involved in? And then I started to watch OFAS. Have you ever watched OFAS?
OFAS, no.
No. Oh, you'll get an eye opener with them.
Yeah.
An absolute eye opener. And then I listened to Quinn.
So are you actually disfellowship then, Sheila?
No, I am no longer a witness.
Right, okay.
Because the text that I sent, I couldn't be associated with any organisation. First of all, then I watched the Australian Royal Commission in its entirety.
Yeah.
That's when I started to look elsewhere. So then I sent the letter, my text, wishing them hope they're okay and everything. But then I thought, I don't want to I can't have any association or have my name associated with any organisation that's involved in the cover-up and non-reporting of CSA.
Yeah.
And I asked them if they would destroy, either delete digitally or whatever, by whatever means, any information that they're holding on me. Just a minute.
Fair play to you.
Just a minute. So then I get a letter back from supposedly the congregation, but it's from the branch. Just a minute. Registered mail.
Well, as Sheila goes off to look at her extensive files, pets, I'm going to say this to you. Have you ever come across a channel where it's just Brits getting together discussing these kind of problems?
what, witnesses?
Yeah.
No.
I think
No.
we're the first one.
Yeah, we are.
And it's a different kind of humor, by the way. I must apologize if I get giggly or anything like that, but I grew up on Father Ted.
Yeah.
Do you ever watch Father Ted?
Yeah, I love Father Ted.
And I go, that was more like a documentary.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. But don't forget that's not British, though.
Well, it's Irish.
Yeah, yeah.
So
but you've got two very strong accents here. You've got the Brummie accent, and I think Sheila is like somewhere up north. She's got a north.
Yes.
There we go, Lancashire.
Yeah.
Lancashire. Oh, Lancashire is it? Yeah.
Yes. Where are you from, Pet?
From Birmingham.
You're Birmingham.
Yeah.
You're Brummie. You're the Brummie.
I had a real Pom accent. I mean, it was a Cockney.
Right.
You know.
You've got quite a strong South African accent now, though.
It's been overridden.
Well, it's not very strong, but it's definitely.
So
so you moved from. Where did you move from?
I was born under Bow Bells in London, City of London, and Hampstead Heath and Golders Green area, and then Tunbridge Wells.
So they're all quite posh.
Are they?
Posh areas, aren't they?
Tunbridge Wells was kind of railways, and we were in semi-detached houses. Yeah.
Well, I don't know where I put it.
It's all right, Sheila. No pressure. You just
definitely not throwing it away.
No, you relax. I'm chatting with Pips here, and you take your time.
Yes, okay.
So I think we've got
an
interesting. I use this word interesting a lot. I go back to the videos and say, "Man, come on, change your dialogue. Change your words." But I believe we've got a great rapport here, just for the sense of humor. And I think the sense of humor is a healing thing, because you just go,
you don't want to go down that route. Like, when you was on the platform and somebody would point something out to you, like say, do you realize that you say this? Oh, that was a curse. Because, you know what I mean? You might have gone through your whole life and not realized that you said this particular word. And then as soon as they point it out, every time you're on the platform, you completely paranoid thinking, am I saying that word?
Well, I've got excuses, Peps. I was forced into this thing of multiple languages, Shona and Chichero and Venda and Tswana. So I also, but you've got Shona speaking folks where you are. I absolutely know that. I do know that. But
I've never come across them.
Eh?
I've never come across anyone that speaks that language. So
Shona's all this rolling R's, Zaka, Ziri, Zasho, Kutita, Rera, Kumanyenga, Terra, and they put me in, I was doing, what's this, the public address on convention level in Shona. And I would go, man, what are you guys doing? And I think that it was a little bit sensational. They liked it. There's this guy from UK that they just slap him into one of these areas and get him to speak in Shona, and the culture just loved it. It's sort of like just lapping it up and enjoying it. And you got to admit that as soon as that's happening, there's a rapport going on there, just because people are happy that the language has been dignified from outside the culture. And they're enjoying it, and I was enjoying that as well. But I was going to some of the those who'd worked in the branch and saying, how do I pronounce all this for this talk? And I was essentially doing transcripts and just learning the transcripts over and over and over again. And that was kind of how I was learning the language,
Yeah.
So, I think my English has been affected.
Well, they have got a bit of an obsession, the Watchtower organization, with how many languages. It's all it just seems like an obsession, doesn't it? They've I mean, a lot of these, I'm convinced a lot of these languages that they translate the magazines into, there's no need to, because a lot of them people can probably speak
Yeah.
Like, you know, one of the easier languages.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yes.
what are they trying to prove?
Well, I'll validate what you say. So coming back to Zimbabwe, you've got Ndebele, which is one of the Nguni languages. Now, it comes from Zulu, which is in South Africa. You know, Shaka Zulu. So you had Mzilikazi, goes off to the Zimbabwe region or the upper Rhodesian area or Nyasa land there. And he takes all the most beautiful women with him. And they set up a village and they set up a kingdom there. Now that became Ndebele. Now, what JW did is there is Ndebele South Africa dialect and there's Ndebele Zimbabwe dialect, but they get to have two separate RTO facilities.
What's the point?
Well, McDonald's. Is McDonald's a hamburger business or it's a real estate business?
McDonald's? What is it?
McDonald's. So
Yeah.
Ray Kroc of McDonald's. So he was told, no, just produce hamburgers, but your real business is real estate. So you'll set up all these restaurants and you'll put in these managers and they pay into this franchise, but you own the property. They run the business, but you own the property. And that was the McDonald's model. So the fast food restaurant, that's the model. So now if you apply that to JW, what's the model? The model is gain a property. It's an RTO for translation for our tax exempt PBO. And we've got a whole bunch of volunteers to
excuse to build a new. It's an excuse to build a new sort of facility. Like,
yes, that's right.
It's
so coming back to what your observation was it necessary to have an RTO for that dialect? No, because Ndebele is Ndebele. I guarantee you that the Ndebele dialect in South Africa, that somebody's in Zimbabwe, there is an interchange. I mean, they could even make do with Zulu. They could, you know. But they've got these separate facilities. They've got a Zulu facility. They've got Ndebele facility South Africa, Ndebele facility Zimbabwe, and it's about the properties, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm starting to get to grips with that now, because I went through a period of time just believing that they're not necessarily evil, that they're just misled. They want to do what they believe the Bible says, and I think a lot of people go for that when they first leave. They think, these people can't be evil, they're just misled, but I'm starting to realize now they must know.
Yes,
they must know a lot of this stuff. They're not, they can't just be it's like the latest update. Oh, by the way, guys, we've just had another look at the Bible and we've just realized that we're no longer under the Mosaic law. It's like, what the hell? How long have you been reading the Bible for? And you've just read that, it's like, you must have realized that how long ago? Do you know what I mean? It's like, what? It's nuts.
So, Pips, what I'm learning about you is you are on one incredible rabbit hole. And out of respect for where you are, I'm going to be careful, because I could. Okay, let me put it this way. I've experienced things in a certain way. And I've come to a certain conclusion. Like the asset management in Ireland, right? I was supposed to fly there, so I know about that. I don't know all of it, but I was supposed to go there. I was supposed to go to Scotland. I was supposed to go to Peru. I was supposed to go to the Seychelles, where they've got the big granite business. That was kind of my tour of duty with my instructor, because he was saying, Matt, I absolutely see you going to be on the governing body. I absolutely see this. And they were getting all excited, and that's how I got into that inner network, or that inner communication. If you think about, Discord and all that, there's their own communication channels. They were getting all excited. This was when Winder and who's the other one that's there? Winder and Flegel were coming up, and they were going, Matt, please help us with research department. Please help us in writing, and you're going to be a silent, discreet consultant. And that was how I got to see what was happening on those circles. They were even getting me to do announcements. I was here in this room, and I was doing announcements at the branch, South Africa branch, for deaths, persons that had passed away. I was getting to, they were saying, please could you announce to the Bethel family, inform them that so-and-so has passed away. And they were getting me involved in all of that. And I was down here far south. And that was happening fairly recently, about a year and a half ago. Yeah, I would say.
So they must have been a bit worried when you started to have doubts.
I never presented it that way. Even with these shows and things like that, I was very, very careful, because my whole drive was always ethics, always was. And
can I just question, Matthew?
Yeah.
What is it? Was it doctrine that made you come out?
I'll tell you what happened. It was the corporal punishment thing.
Right. Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll give you the scenario, right? Sheila knows about this, and Sheila, if you want to interject or anything like that, feel free. Just shut me up and say, hey,
No,
I'd like to
carry on,
chirp up.
Carry on, Matthew.
But perhaps to answer you, let me be really upfront. This is how I've gotten into trouble, even in, I'd say, the healing community, because they're going, geez, Matt, do we trust you? Don't trust you? What? And it's set off alarm bells and all. And I've come into other trouble as well. And I'm going, no, I've always been driven by this ethics. You had about, I must just get the timeline. It could be 3 years ago, Pets.
Yeah.
Elder gets up on the stage, and he was a needs greater. So I'm a service overseer, or I'm on the service committee, right?
Yeah.
And we start getting these guys coming in that look incentivized, and we're getting swamped. I'm told that this is not a needs greater area. That's why they sent me off to Bethel. I come back here, and suddenly it's declared a needs greater area. Okay, why?
Yeah,
because there's a beach here, and it just became like a holiday resort. That's why.
Right. Serve where the need is greater, as they say.
Yeah, their need was greater.
Yeah.
So they start sending in these guys, and we're just getting voted out. But these were not persons who were going by the rules at all. Really not. They came, they were incentivized, they had agendas, they wanted to get on the circuit. It's a long story. Anyway, Elder gets up, one of the needs graders, and he says, oh yeah, you can beat your kid as long as you're loving.
Is this in your congregation? He says this.
He says, yeah, you can beat your child as long as you're loving.
Huh?
Yeah, don't spare the rod, spoil the child. The rod of discipline from Jehovah, there it is. At times you can use corporal punishment. Says that, moves on. Now, it was a simple statement, perhaps. But I get sent videos because we've got, this is a smelting pot of culture here. We've got nouveau rich, leaders of the world people. Prince Willie was playing rugby here just now. Not that long ago. He's playing rugby right here on my doorstep. Bill Gates wandering around here. Who is it? Obama down here. It's like incredible. But then you've also got this incredible poverty. You've got this incredible rich. You've got this incredible poverty. And so you've got a high density area. And I get sent these horrendous videos saying, Brother Gray, it's from a sister, meek sister, saying, take a look what's happening. This is what my husband's doing in front of everybody.
Husbands are witnesses.
Yeah. And he's got a belt and pips. It's outright violence. It's so shocking. You cannot believe it unless you see it. And he doesn't care that he's being filmed. He's being filmed by congregants. And he's got the belt, whack, whack, whack. He's just laying into, and if you get in the way, That's your own fault. And you know, when somebody's doing this, but they're doing it with precision, you just look at this guy. He is so bold.
Sadistic, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, eventually, police rock up. Eventually, this happened several times, not once. This was several times. Police rock up, and how did they handle it? It was something like, "Oh, you're the spouse here. Do you press charges?" And she says, "No, I forgive him."
What about the child?
Yeah.
Sheila, the police kind of, that's it, bye, moving on.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
She did get the children and escaped. She found a place at the and just got out of there, right? She did, because they were all in danger. But I'm giving you one scenario that came my way. Another scenario was at the Kingdom Hall. And we're talking about children 2.5 years of age, and the parents laying into the kid at the back room or outside. And I'm going, who was that? And you can see the sudden fear grip the congregation. We don't know, Brother Gray. Don't know. Okay, no, who was that? I know that kid. It's happened fast, but it's happened on the property. And I'm going, why has this occurred? It's occurred because Mr. New incentivized, let's serve where the needs are greatest, gone and mouthed off at the meeting, beat your kid. And they have pushed, obey us or else. And I'm going, no. You can't do this, because in this jurisdiction, that's against the law. And even the governing body, Jeffrey Jackson, has said, no, this is wrong. Under oath, under the Australian Royal Commission, this is wrong. In South Africa, it's against the law. So all I do, I don't condemn anybody. I go, okay, well, that's your decision. That's what's happened. Police have either let you go. It's got to that level. Okay. But it's an increasing problem. I normally sort of count 1, 2, 3, but in this particular case, when it's now a contravening of law in the area, all right, and it's been witnessed, then I go, hang on, what's the procedure? Mr. Loyal Matt Gray goes to the SLF book, and it says, well, phone the branch, because it's a big C, it's a big A. Got that?
Yeah.
What do you mean, C?
Because we can't say that on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Big
okay.
C, big A. Children, right?
Yeah.
Vulnerable. Yeah. So it's not always of a sexual nature. In South Africa, if there is this happening, it's considered violence. It's considered abuse. So and it's the vulnerable, and you've got parents that become liable for acting out according to the instruction which they're told that they must obey, because if they don't, they're going to get sanctioned. They're going to face a tribunal, right? Because they're not keeping their household in order. They're going to be pulled to the back room. Hey, you can't be a pioneer. You can't look after your kid. You're disruptive in the congregation, in the meeting. So, you know, we need to see some action. We need to see something. So-and-so just told us about the rod of discipline, and you've got to apply it. This was what was happening. And going, okay, you know what? My role is, I'm called. Sorry, go ahead.
You've got to protect the children, haven't you?
That was my number one role. But I had another role. I had to look at public talks and who was instructing what. And I had to work with the auxiliary councillor and say to the auxiliary councillor, did you hear what I heard? Yes, I heard that. I said, tell me, is that legal? No. Well, shouldn't we inform the coordinator? Because the coordinator is the one who's in charge of public talks and information distribution, correct? He's got the liability. Oh, yes, Matt, you're correct. I said, well, we better get on with it. Right? So it gets to the Kobe, but the Kobe is wanting to become the next circuit overseer. So he goes, no, I'm not dealing with it.
Don't want to rock the boat.
Not dealing with it. because he hasn't got the awareness to have spotted that, and he's embarrassed. He's embarrassed by it. He should have nipped it in the bud. So a year goes by, and it's, please can we put this on the agenda? Please can we put this on the agenda? And it would be, Matt, you've got 1 minute to speak. And I go, I can't cover this in a minute. It's not enough time. Moving on. And I'm going, no, this is a conflict of interest. You cannot control this situation when this falls into your lap. So I say, we have to have other elders. I'm calling them in here. We have to have other elders deal with this because this is a conflict of interest. You can't dictate what goes on when this is falling into your responsibility. And it's looking like you haven't dealt with the situation because this didn't just come up once. This has come up in writing several times prior to this. If this was a one-off, we could just say, oh, it was accidental. But this has come up several times. And we've got direction from the branch to nip this in the bud. And we've got the testimony from Jeffrey Jackson at the ARC, which the service desk is aware of. That's saying
you're not supposed to have seen that, though. You're not supposed to have watched. We
were told to watch it by the organization. Yeah. You think that we weren't supposed to watch it. Service desk was told to sit down and watch this.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they're in the know, and they know it.
It must have been embarrassing for them to watch that.
Do you know how they said Jeffrey Jackson did a marvelous job? Don't you all agree? This is what happened in the department.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, they said he managed to tackle this with spiritual warfare, and we think he has done a marvelous job as the modern day Paul. Oh, I'm getting burned up now. But that's what happened.
Yeah. See, your wake up then was like quite unique. So you did you then deconstruct from all the doctrines and that afterwards, or didn't you believe any of it anyway?
You know, Pips, like I said, I was just driven by ethics. I was going, I view this is the job. As long as we're all in line and I can see that there's some kind of recourse.
You didn't really believe it all anyway then?
No, I did.
Did you have your doubts anyway?
No, I had the whole anointing experience. If you want to put it into Jungian terms, it's like a Kundalini awakening. And you want to go, oh, well, actually, this happens across cultures. It's just given a different name. I had the whole experience.
Yeah.
I was 100% believer. I was going, this is why I get into trouble, Pips, because they go, oh, Matt, were you dissenting for many years? No, I never dissented. I was falling in line. And so in this situation, I called the branch. I phoned them up. I said, right, let's talk about it, because that's what the SLF says. And of course, I know, because I'd served in the branch, that they record it. I know. As soon as you hear the music, I know that they're recording it. Okay.
They don't have to ask you permission. They just...
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Right.
Okay. So I phoned up, and I had got to the stage where I had seen failure after failure after failure, and I had applied Matthew 18. So it says, take with you 1 or 2 witnesses. I couldn't get other elders to join me. Couldn't do it. They just wouldn't do it. So I said, okay, so what's the witness? Well, the way I've been trained on research department and as a consultant for writing department is they say, oh, we're going to record you. So I'm going to do the same, because that becomes my witness.
Good idea.
And especially if I had approached them, not once, but several times, now I have to have a witness. I have to have a witness according to Matthew 18. So I haven't contravened Matthew 18. I've followed Matthew 18. But as it turned out, I did get a witness. I did.
What, a real witness?
Yeah, a real witness. I got a real witness. And they said, right, we'll be neutral. And yeah, but they were not keen. And so I said, okay, look, let's just process this thing. So anyway, I get in writing from service desk, you got to correct this. Okay. Wow, great. Okay, got it. So there's the direction. But I didn't stop there. I went to research department. I said, just confirm that this is correct. Maybe you need to get hold of legal department, but just check this. And they said, yeah, you've got to correct this against the law. But I didn't stop there. I went to governing body family. I said, oh, here's a scenario, hypothetical scenario. Let's give you a few details. Corporal punishment, what should happen? Oh, this is outrageous. It should never happen. So I said, well, here's the scenario. Do you mind commenting on it? Yes, do this, do this, do this. And the reason why I did that is because as soon as you now involve governing body family that's committed, they are now feeling it in their own homes. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Good idea. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
You're going, oh, you thought that you were untouchable. Well, let's start involving your family, right? Especially if you're bringing me in and trying to train me as potentially, whether it's a carrot dangling or nonsense or whatever. If you now saying to me,
how did you get the information for the governing body family members?
Because I was one of the anointed, Peps. I was on the inner circle, that I was connected to the admin 2000 system and the hub system. I had free reign of I could see the purchasing, everything. I could see how all of that was working. I had the clearance.
Yeah, good.
I've even still got it. I've never erased it. I've got all the names, everything. I can tell you.
Can I have Tony Morris's email address, please?
Hey?
Can I have Tony Morris's email address?
Yeah. I've got a photograph of him. He was upset that I took a photograph of him. Yeah. And
it's fascinating though, Matt. You really have had a wild ride, really.
Unreal. But
it's not off the horse yet.
Yeah. Sheila. So yeah, look, I mean, how do you not make it sensational? How do you do that? How do you keep it balanced, right? Okay. Because it's circumstantial, Pips. It's circumstantial. These things, they happen. Essentially, I'll tell you, in realistic terms, nobody. I was absolute nobody. And the reason for that is they would send me off to all of these dangerous areas. I mean, I can't argue with it. I'd just go, yes, sir, no, absolutely. Where do you want me to jump? Where do you want me to go? And that was what I was doing. So when I acted on their information, both legally and lawfully,
they accept it when you came back with all that.
They took the apostate route. They said, "Oh, we've heard that you saying apostate things." And I go, "What?" I said, "Where are you getting that?" They said, "Oh, we've been looking at some of your correspondence." I go, "I beg your pardon? How are you getting that correspondence? That's private closed network. How are you getting that? There's a leak somewhere. Who's got..." And Pips, this is where it gets really weird, is there's persons in computer department who are experts at cracking
passwords.
Yeah, there's nothing that's secret. I mean, I would come into my room and my room's been searched. Why? Because
I've heard that in
organization property, and I'm going, how can you come in and trespass? The audacity that you have to come into somebody's personal property and start rooting through their things. If I find out who it is, you are going to have to face the police. But I'm having to keep my nerve, and I think that's what blew my brain. I think you say, when did this? I started shutting down, Pips. I was, as Sheila knows, I was ready to die. I was going, that's it. I'm dying. Because, these things accumulate. You can absorb a paper cut. You can't absorb 1,000. You start bleeding out. And I was bleeding out badly.
Can I just ask then, so what was it like when you found the XJW community? I bet, was it a relief?
I go XJW, JW emergent. And the reason for that is I go that, in a way, the XJW is being given a bad rap, and I don't want to follow it or fall into it. I go XJW, and I go, yeah, that's fine. And the only reason how I got here was applying Matthew 18 to the very end, and it says, go to the city gates and lay your case. And guess who's at the city gates? XJW.
Right.
So I go, well, I feel rocks because I've followed everything. Well, XJW is all supposed to be dead, aren't they? Shouldn't Jehovah have eliminated them? No. So they're all there. And guess what they're saying? They're saying, oh, you know how we arrived here? Ethics.
Yeah.
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 So I go, no, I feel rocks about that because now it's on the timeline. So, well, when did you have time to respond to this illegal thing or that illegal thing or that alleged thing or that alleged thing? Well, you had plenty of time. How many years have got to go by? Same as some of these sensational things that we hear about in the news where somebody is involved in trafficking and doesn't go to prison for 10 years until 10 years and is allowed to continue operating. Go, no, I can't. My mind's not allowing me to do that. I can't get any sleep. I can't. I got down to 1 hour sleep less. It was just terrible. I had the plague of Job. My body was finished. My skin was full of lesions. I was finished.
What was the first channel that we saw you on, Matthew?
Fran and Joe. Now, Pep said, how did I get there? I'll tell you how I got there.
Yeah.
I got into incredible, like a delirious state because of low oxygen. I was on one of these oxygen meters. You know, you put it on your thumb, and it does your oxygen.
Yeah.
And I was losing oxygen, and I was getting all, different altered consciousness, and I'm going, I'm gonna freaking die. I can see this thing is going. I'm in a critical state. I'm gonna die with all these stories. That's what's gonna happen. And I've got people saying, Matt, we need help. There is an abuser getting on the platform that's abused us, and we've got to sit in the congregation. We can't stand it. I'm getting, and people are saying, Matt, the congregation isn't what you think it is. These people are all together in cahoots. And I'm going, are these people spiritually weak? And I was getting the same story. And I go into they tell me, please destroy congregation files. And I find it's all true. Go, what is going on here? And the more I was saying, I need help on this, I found out my instructor is involved in big C, big S, big A. So I'm consulting with my instructor. Guess what? He's in the middle of the ring. I then go to my captain, who I've got to report to. He gets caught and he goes to prison. Guess what for? Big C, big S, big A. So you go, Matt, you are one unlucky guy. I go, no, I think what's happened is as time's progressed, realizing how deep this thing goes.
It's riddled with it, isn't it, by the sound of it?
Yeah. I had a young person with me. When I say young, under 18, and I was in field service and I get assaulted in field service. I get attacked and I'm laughing. You know how I get giggly and I start laughing? I go, what, you're going to attack me? You think I'm afraid of death? Well, I'm laughing. I'm going, what do you really think you're going to achieve? And the guy saw that he had no control over me and he took the child and he was going to kill the child. And I went, right, whatever you want done, I comply. And so the guy gets away, robs us, does a robbery and gets away. And the community says, what's just happened? I said, no, I've just been robbed by this guy. They said, why didn't you shout? I said, because there's this child that's vulnerable here and he's got a ceremonial knife to him. I've got to just comply. Otherwise, there's going to be a stupid death. I don't know if he's on Niobe, this drug. I don't know. The people are on these drugs. They have stupid deaths. I said, I'm just not going to take the risk. And then if I call you guys, then you guys are vulnerable. I said, look, I've worked this entire territory. I said, this isn't the first rodeo. I said, the chances are I'm going to find them again because what goes around comes around. Okay. So please. Anyway, the community catch him.
Yeah.
The community catch him. and they want to perform vigilante justice. And I don't want to describe it on the airwaves because it's just too terrible to describe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you, when these guys take a bad guy out,
taking
bad
parts of his body off.
Yeah.
Okay,
probably.
Pips,
Yeah.
you got it. Okay, all right. So I intervened. I said, no, you're not going to do this. You're not going to do this. I said, how do you know he doesn't sober up and repent and he becomes one of our Bible students?
Oh, hey.
And it calmed the angry mob down, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And they
That's
said,
probably
oh,
what
okay.
Jesus would do,
Right.
isn't it?
So they said, right, what we're going to do is we're just going to throw him in prison. I said, excellent idea. Excellent idea. So I go to the satellite police department, and apparently it's one of the most corrupt ones. Jeez. I go to one of the most corrupt police departments. I can't name it on the airwaves, but anyway, I rock up there. And first of all, I go to the satellite one. And the policeman's big Boera Afrikaner. Okay? Okay. Says to me, Pastor Gray, been observing you for some time now. Real thick accent, eh? Been observing you for some time. You have got a target on your back. And you have uncovered one incredible network that goes from here to Cairo and beyond. You have no idea what... he's getting stroppy with me. He says, you are a target. And he took off his weapon and he slides it to me. He says, see this pistol? He says, you are going to have to learn how to use that. I mean, this is Johannesburg. You know about Johannesburg.
Yeah.
So he says, you're going to have to learn how to use it. And I come in with my naughty humor. And I said to him, thanks very much for that. I said, your pistol isn't big enough. I said, I want a double-barreled shotgun. He says, Pastor Gray, just watch yourself here. Just watch yourself. He says, I'm giving you good information here. He says, this is a syndication. We've been working on this a lot longer than you have any inkling about. And I just went, you know what? This is a policeman. It's sensational. Okay, thanks. I mean, this is how I'm dealing with it. I'm blasé about it. And I go, no, thanks very much. Great demonstration. Appreciate that. Yeah, see you at the gun range or whatever, or not. And I realized, geez, this is hectic, The detectives took that one up and it went to court. It did go to court, but I didn't get any support from the branch. None. The branch response was break up the congregation. And I'm going, why? Why? The reason for that was liability, because there was a youngster who was told, go into the ministry as a baptized publisher. And basically he's at work as a volunteer worker, right? With a Watchtower certified representative, Matt Gray, who's born in England and has been certified by New York. He's not just any Jehovah's Witness, he's a certified Watchtower representative. And they went, oh, crumbs. We have to let's just reassign everybody. You're gone. New assignments from Jehovah, folks. And that's how they dealt with it. They thought that they would split that thing up and just dismantle the congregation because of liabilities, because of a youngster that was put into jeopardy in the ministry.
Yeah, when they should have been protecting people.
Yeah.
They don't give a toss, do they? All they care about is themselves.
Yeah. So I'm giving you very complex stories, Pips. I honestly don't know where to start. It's not like I'm evading you. I want to tell you the story. I just don't know where to start.
Or stop, because it's still going, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Because even if you come out, like I was saying to Sheila, I get a letter, or I get passwords from the branch. Oh, you linked into the branch. And I'm going to the police. I'm going, you guys need to know about this. Because you say to me, go and find another religion or find a safe place or whatever. And I said, they keep pulling me back in. They keep finding me and pulling me back into this thing because
I don't know, maybe fiduciary control or something, or the system hasn't quite let go of things, and you've got a fracture in the system where they're going, oh, Matt's an apostate over here, but over here we still recognize him in the system, or we're going, oh, we want him as a fall guy or as a patsy, or I don't know. There's so many things going on here, and I'm just going, well, please, you're going to get another deposition. You're going to get another deposition. Because how do I cope with this thing? This thing is on an international scale. This isn't just local. This isn't just local South African jurisdiction. This is going into other countries. Ireland. There's an Irish connection to this thing. And you say to me, Matt, tell me, did Irish detectives ever get hold of you? Yes, they did. And I say to them, tell me, can your DWO handle this thing? Or he's going to say, oh, we're stuck like Norway with compartmentalized handling of these things. And he says, yeah, that's how it works. He says, but we've got some very sophisticated units that are specifically dealing with child protection, and we're working on it. Okay, congratulations. And I do believe that they're really good guys. I believe that they are working on it. And a lot of the pushback is happening because they're recognizing these kind of conversations, but it's so important to keep to the truth. Because if you start going, oh, well, down with the tower, or let's set fire to the tower, you lose it. You lose your credibility. You've got to keep to what's absolutely true and say, listen, there's good JWs, there's bad JWs. What we're targeting the bad JWs that are using it as a front organization to commit these kind of atrocities. So when you do that now, you've got your bridge towards your legal structure and towards your enforcement agency that hopefully is not being bought or is a bunch of dirty cops or a bunch of dirty, magistrates or whatever, So you're up against so many different forces here, but I believe
the whole tables have turned, isn't it? Because we were told that the world and the politics are all evil. And and yet, as it's turning out, they're the ones that are going to do the justice against. Do you know what I mean? The ones that we were told were the evil ones are the ones that are turning out to be the good ones. It's a complete reversal.
Yeah, it's a reversal. So Peps, if I said to you, do you know who the superior authorities are? How would you answer as a JW? I'll put you on the spot.
What's the scripture? There's a scripture about that, isn't there? What does it say?
Correct.
Go on. What does the scripture say?
Romans. So the superior authorities are there, and it's applied in JW culture.
Political. That would be like governments and police. All the rest of it.
You 100% correct. So if you go through a red traffic light, okay, you're in your vehicle and you're Tony Morris, and you go through a red traffic light. You're driving your Buick, and you go through a red traffic light. What happens?
You get the fine.
Yeah, camera.
Points on your license.
Photograph Anthony Morris and he gets a fine. But he says, no, Jehovah's government is above the other governments.
It doesn't work, does it?
I'm an ambassador. I'm one of the anointed. I have diplomatic immunity.
You're also a substitute for Christ.
Okay. So what should happen is he gets the fine.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. That's what
we probably pay for that. Our contributions would probably pay for that.
We probably pay for it, but look, they do try and get out of it. But what should happen is he gets the fine. That's what's supposed to happen. Okay. Now, where am I going with this? I think I've got too much on my brain. I can feel I'm getting to the saturation point. But there should be the superior authorities that come in, and the scripture says they are God's
servants.
Yes.
Yeah, God's minister. Yeah.
You are paying taxes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why a lot of Christians, like mainstream Christians, do go to war and stuff like that because they believe that they're serving their country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the Bible does tell us to do that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It also says not to kill, but it does say to obey the superior authorities. So, it's just how you interpret it, I suppose, isn't it?
That's right. Except I went to the branch. I said, who's the superior authorities? They said, oh, by the way, yes, if Anthony Morris does break the law like that, you are supposed to, report it to the police, or it can be what's it, a civil matter, right? So, and you treat them as an individual. You don't treat them as the organization. You treat them as an individual. They don't tell you this normally, but that's what's supposed to happen.
All right. So the minute they get into trouble,
yes,
they're no longer the faithful and discreet slave. They're just a normal publisher.
So he becomes a Judas character. So like in my case here with the local elders, instead of going, I want to charge the branch with this failure of due process, what I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to get a lawyer and I'm supposed to say, you see this person here, he is supposed to be the coordinator of the body of elders, but this is what he did. And I'm supposed to separate him from the congregation, because then the branch says, yes, we disavow that he's a witness, because he disassociated himself upon his behavioral action.
Right, okay.
Disassociation is different to disfellowshipping, which is now removal, right? In that, disfellowshipping always has appeal. So in my case, when these things were heating up, I said, I make a declaration that I, as one of the anointed that you had recognized, you got me giving talks on the memorials and on jw.org and all of this, and on their website. I said, I do not renounce my JW status. I said, I am always in permanent appeal on the basis of Jesus Christ's blood, who is my mediator, and I therefore declare my ambassadorial role with its appropriate diplomatic immunity under Christ's kingdom, under Christ's messianic kingdom. I said, I do not revoke it, and I'm always in permanent appeal. And you must realize that if I have contravened some kind of doctrinal matter, that I'm always in the state of permanent repentance and will, with commensurate works, endeavor to correct that, as I always have.
Yeah.
I do not revoke it. And this is witnessed, this is signed, this is on the system. You didn't know about that, did you?
No. Well, you have told me that before.
So,
but that's a good, I'll have to remember that.
So I pulled that one.
Yeah.
Because even if you say, Matt, you're not really a practicing Jehovah's Witness. Peps came up. He said, when did you realize this was all a big charade? Okay. All right. And this is where I do get into trouble. I am a witness. I witnessed what happened. I am a Jehovah's Witness. I witnessed how Jehovah operates. I witnessed how Jehovah's Witnesses operate. Therefore, in legal terms, I am coming from different legal angles. Like you've got ecclesiastical law, maritime, admiralty law. You've got different types of laws, right, that apply. So I go according to that ecclesiastical ecumenical system. I am always a Jehovah's Witness. I know it's a play on words, and people go, well, Matt, that makes you our enemy if you are still a declared Jehovah's Witness. Okay, you've got to understand why I still do this. I do this because people have asked for justice, and it seems to have got some weird leverage in the system.
If it's working, do it, mate. Anything to, for justice. If you can get justice, keep doing it.
Do you know, I don't hear that. You're like one of the few people that say that to me.
I would say if it's affecting your health, don't.
Yeah, well, I'm bugging.
You know what I mean? But if you can do it, do it. But
well,
don't
to the extent possible, yes. And by the way, if I rock up there, they're just going to give me a trespass notice. They pretend that I can walk in, but they'll just give me a trespass notice because I'm a threat to the system.
Yeah.
So in actuality, and I went to a criminologist and psychologist. And he says, by the way, Matt, what's happened for your own health? They have done you a huge favor. He says, been dealing with these people for long enough. He says, they've done you a huge favor. I said, yes, my health has been getting better. Absolutely. And I do take it that way. We've got a question that's come in, Peps and Sheila, from Slim Chick.
Oh yes.
Sheila, do you mind reading that since you got your tablet? Am I putting you on the spot?
No.
Okay. What does it say, if you don't mind?
From Slim Chick. Did you seek / retain legal counsel?
Answer is I'm disenfranchised. Disenfranchised, and the problem is that they've wiped me out to a large degree, and I'm stuck.
Right, I'm just going to say something to you, Matthew.
Sounds a bit ominous.
No, you're all for honesty, transparency, and protecting vulnerable.
Right. But
you are now helping people that are escaping from high control organizations. So you're protecting and helping them to heal. So you're doing the same thing, but helping a different group of people.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So one way that I could get,
yeah.
Oh, sorry, Sheila. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all right. So carry on.
One way I could get legal counsel is, as a Brit, I could go and move to Ireland, because we're allowed to work in Ireland, right? You can do that. And the Irish detectives are on board with this. They absolutely know what's going on. So I could leave my life here in South Africa and go to Ireland for that counsel. So I could seek and retain legal counsel, because South Africa is a wild west. It's I can't tell you how many times I've had an R4 semi-automatic pointed at my head. I can't tell you how
It's not a place that you would have chosen to go to if you hadn't have been sent there, would you?
Yeah, I've absolutely lived in jeopardy. I know that there's been stoning of the Kingdom Hall in Ocean View here. There's been stoning of the Assembly Hall because of these injustices. And at one time, I had passage by the current gangsters that were controlling some of the territories, because they said, no, you've earned respectability amongst us. But the problem is, Sheila, because I've been to every house on the peninsula, I know a hell of a lot. And I'm aware of how that community operates as well, and why there is almost like the stalemate between police and the gangsters, and why because they know where they are. They know, everybody knows where everybody is, but they create this stalemate. I mean, this is what happens. This is what happens here. They can go to the Navy, which is right here on the doorstep. They can raid the Navy of whether they're weapons. That's how they get weaponized. And then what the hell do? They have these shootouts.
So how are you able to help that?
I can't, because if
so what's holding you there?
So if I go to the police and I come in with all of this information, unless I have the proper protection to come forward, this is mafia on another level, Sheila. I cannot compete with this. I'm out of my depth.
So what's holding you there?
Just resources. I'm stuck. I'm bloody stuck.
So you can't go to Ireland?
I can't get there. I can't get there. I'm stuck. Look, Sheila, there's more to it. I know that, talking like this.
You mentioned something about your passport. I know you mentioned something about that ages ago.
I've got British passport still there.
Yeah. But you said that they had it.
Oh yes, you remember. Thanks for I really appreciate that, because that goes over a lot of people's heads.
You know what I'm like. I hear everything.
Well, I'm glad that you retained that. And that gives me real hope.
Because that's illegal.
It is. But they did it before a law changed.
Right.
Sheila, every time we think that we got it, it slips through the cracks. Okay? You realize how sophisticated this thing is.
Yes, I do. I really do.
Oh, crumbs. And I'm thinking,
I've learned such a lot since coming out. Look at watching various channels. So I know the dangers, and to be actually living amongst it, it must be horrendous. No wonder you're not well.
So,
no wonder.
So Peps, did you catch that? That Sheila. So I'm grateful Sheila's got this mind that's retaining these things. Because for so long I've been telling people these things and they don't care. You know, they figure, who cares? You know?
Did either of you get a memorial invitation, by the way? Just
listen, you were
sadly I don't, because I'm
an
apostate.
No, you did, and you didn't get one, Matthew.
I got them.
Oh, you got.
But I mean,
and there is a witness in this. There is a witness in this apartment block.
Okay, there's another weird thing I've got to tell you.
Go on. Have I not to forget this one either?
Technically speaking, I run another congregation, and I'm not talking about present company. There's older people, and this is the other thing that keeps me where I am. There's older persons that are around me, and they can't see, they can't hear, and you can't have a conversation like we're having. There's no way you can do this. So there's a dependency going on. So they go, Matt, we want to just do the memorial. Great, there it is, set up. So if you want to say, technically speaking, if there's 2 or 3 gathered in my name, according to JW doctrine, then you've got a congregation. So I have a scenario where there's persons that are vulnerable that are still connected to the congregation.
And could they not join you on this sort of a thing if you weren't there?
The thing is,
I know the internet's
if I sat down and said, and I've done this, I said, tell me, you do realize why we're not all back to normal? And they're going, no, why? You go, okay, well, why don't you look at the other family? Why aren't they elders anymore? Oh, I don't know. Why aren't they elders, Matt? I said, well, you've either forgotten or not really absorbing what's going on. Unfortunately, this is what's happened. The age is just, it's too much. The eyesight's gone, hearing's gone, and it takes like 2 hours to even get this far. Slim Chick's talking about, have you informed the High Counselor? So you're talking about ombudsman and these interventions on police and things like this. It's a very complicated story. I have taken it as far as I can. I've kept all the correspondence. And it's kind of like a Norway situation, almost like paralysis, until they unblock the dilemma situation, until they have found a route that they can take as a clear precedent to run on. They are not interested in solving your problem. You have to come in with your own legal counsel and your own legal strategy. You have to be an expert in law in order to fix that problem. But Slim Chick, at least there is deposition. At least there is records of the attempts to put that information forward. Does that make sense, Slim Chick? You're in the right direction, correct? High Counselor, correct? Ombudsman, if you feel that the police haven't dealt with it correctly. You've also got religious watchdogs as well. Invariably, a lot of these addresses just go nowhere.
Can I ask Sheila a question?
Yeah.
How many people came out with you then, Sheila? I mean, did you bring other people out of the truth with you?
Yeah. I brought Alice that Matthew had spoken to.
Yeah.
That she lives here. somebody, this Kath that hadn't spoken to her daughter for 39 years. Adi that lives next door to me. We were both questioning things at the same time, so we got together.
Yeah.
There was another one that I had a study with, and she got baptized. Now she came out. There were 7 witnesses here, and there's only one now.
Wow. I bet you they hate you, don't they?
They do. They
I
do.
bet you they really think you're the devil, don't they?
Well, they do.
I bet you.
They really do, because the elders kept ringing Kath up and saying, have you spoken to Sheila lately? What do you talk about? She said, I don't know what you mean. She said, it's a real, you know, what does she say about things? And she said, well, we talk about all sorts of things, fashion, all sorts of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Well, anything in specific does she talk about? She said, I don't know what you mean, knowing very well what they were after.
Trying to incriminate. Yeah. Yeah.
You see, I had nothing to lose.
No, well done, Sheila. Well done. But,
And I'm not bothered, because I suppose it's being a bit rebellious. But the last time 2 elders came to me, I had four visits from 7 elders. One came twice. One once with a Bible or his tablet or his phone.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, he patted my arm and just said, you've built up a good name over the years. You don't want to be losing it. I could have slapped him on. And I
What,
just,
like you didn't have any scriptures to show you or anything?
nothing. And I just said to him, scriptures first, always the scriptures. And off
Yeah.
he went, off they went.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they came here now, I will be shouting at them all the way down the corridor. Because I'm
Peps
not
and
frightened
Sheila
of
should
them.
be interviewing you guys, really, because these stories, I think you've heard this all before, really.
Well, it's I love listening to everybody's story.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. That's what really helped me when I came out, you know, because we were all told that all these ex-witnesses are all evil,
Yes.
etc., etc. When I first came out, I just couldn't get enough of the stories, and I just kept thinking, you know, you can see yourself in the stories, can't you?
Yes. The hardest thing is to get the indoctrination out of your mind.
It's
very,
still,
very,
yeah.
very hard. Very hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Steph, my wife, came back from the memorial because she's more or less deconstructed, but she came back and she's like, oh, it was so nice to be singing the songs and that.
Yeah.
You know, it's still got, yeah.
Did you listen to Matthew's remembrance? That was brilliant.
I didn't, because I wasn't in a great place, to be honest. I meant to, Matthew. I kept looking.
Listen to it. I do encourage you to listen to it.
Isn't it? So I will go back and listen. But
yeah, I do encourage you, Peps, to listen to it.
Okay.
It's really upbuilding.
I will.
There's such a lot of love in it.
I will, Matthew. I'll listen to it.
Well,
and you'll see Matthew with a happy, smiling face.
We had a lot of fun.
Smiling face of one of the governing body members, was it?
We had a lot of fun, actually.
Oh, it was really nice.
It was a genuine smile.
I was thinking, what am I doing here? But it was a lot of fun. It went really. Sheila, it was dignified, wasn't it?
Yeah, very.
Because I was thinking, oh man, we're going to get somebody.
It was really, really nice. If you really and listen to the words of the songs, and just listen very carefully to what Matthew says.
Okay.
Because he's using the scriptures.
Good.
Okay. So thanks for that, Sheila, and Peps. Thanks for that. Peps, I'll tell you what. May I give you a clean video? There's the live streams, but there's also a what did I do? I did a clean video of just how it all works. So it's not, you know, with live streams sometimes it gets a bit choppy. By the way, I went back to the live streams, and even though there were a few choppy areas and sort of the signal goes down and all this kind of thing, it was still great. It was still great. But if you want a clean video, can I put it in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay, let me zap it there. There you go. Oh,
Okay.
enjoy.
How do I get that for later or for
I'm
tomorrow?
really pleased. But yeah, however it goes, if you get a change of heart, then you've got to change your heart. But if you're curious, then, well, that's great. Do you know what? I'll tell you something about this video, Sheila and Peps.
Oh, by the way, you don't have to blur my face out, do you? Because you can't see it.
Well,
No,
there was a big black spot there, and I thought, let me put my
I
Justice
saw
Warriors there.
a slight hint of something, because I was going to ask you, perhaps, are you sat in the dark? Because
Yeah,
I can vaguely see something, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah, so if you want to turn on the light or anything, that'll blur you out.
yeah.
It's up to you.
No, I'm all right. I want to remain incognito.
You remain incognito, mate.
You can remember, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm naked, by the way, so that's,
hey?
you know.
Listen, the other thing too is our show has gone on, believe it or not, for 2 hours and a half.
Yeah.
And there's Linda James to do at 5 o'clock.
Well, that's fine. I'll still do that. But
yeah, well, I'll be on it as well.
If you
Saturday
guys,
night, I don't sleep.
Do you two sleep ever?
No, not on no, not at weekends.
Watchtower beat it out of me. But they told me I sleep when I'm dead.
I struggle to sleep, but
Yeah,
not as much
easy,
not as much as Matthew.
I tell you what, for the first time, and a nurse called me, Sheila,
Yeah.
a nurse called me up, said, Matt, I watched your memorial, by the way, or remembering. Says, yes. Tell me, did you sleep today? I've got to answer now. And I said, yes, I did. And he said, how long? So I said, I slept for 2 hours. He said, oh, well, good. I said, but I woke up, and then afterwards, I slept for 4 hours. So I said, for a first time in a long time, I managed to get 6 hours. And they said, that's marvelous. I said, yeah. I said, that is marvelous. I said, I actually feel really good. Got a good 6 hours. And so that's quite rare.
Yeah.
Put that down.
Put that down to all the red wine.
Yeah, I think it was the company. I had good company.
It was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, I'm going to head off now because I'm going to try and get some sleep.
Peps, good being with you, mate, and thanks for just taking the courage to be on. Peps. And you're real fun, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll chat again. Definitely to you too.
Peps, tell me, listen, since you rocked up, okay. Does this time suit you? What is it, Saturday, right? I mean, does this suit you on a Saturday?
Yeah, because probably any time after 10 o'clock GMT.
Okay. So how? Look, I know that there's other shows and things like that on the go, but if I aim for same sort of time next week, same bat channel. Okay. Same like bat time.
10 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time.
We're in British summertime now.
Yeah. So Sheila, if that suits you, then let's carry on where we left off.
Yeah.
I only found it by browsing. I didn't know you were on tonight, and I just thought, I'll just have a look what Matthew's up to, and I thought, oh, he's on.
Yeah.
Well, Peps, it's been a real pleasure.
Oh, that's Jehovah's maneuvering things.
Yes, you were guided by the Spirit. Peps, but it's been really great again. Now to emphasize that, go get some good rest, mate, and I'll open this up next weekend, and we can carry on where we left off. And
okay, okay, guys. Good night.
Go
good
well.
night, Peps.
Good night.
Sleep well.
Okay.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Well, it's nice, isn't he?
Isn't that good fun, eh? Really
yes.
Great.
Yes.
Now, Sheila, I have got to move my Justice Warriors to the side here. There we go. You know who these two are. This is the red versus the blue, but they represent justice.
Yes.
So I normally put them on there, and so I've got a song with them featured, and they represent justice, or they represent the different polarities. So
Yes. Yeah.
But we can also make them disappear. There they go. Okay, so Sheila, look, it's been great being with you. Do you want to get some sleep in, and shall we sign off? Shall we say that that's a good place?
Before Linda starts.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
Linda.
I enjoyed the last. Was it a post that you put on?
Sheila, you're right. There was another post.
Yes.
Do you want to read it out?
No, it's not a post. I don't mean something in here. It's one of yours that you've put on.
I wrote about the cascade vector.
Yes, I thought that was brilliant.
Did you like that?
Okay. Oh, yes. I did answer it, but I thought it was brilliant.
Okay, well, thanks for that, Sheila. It all comes about through community.
Yes.
It comes about what we talk about, and I go, everybody helps to make these stories come alive. Slim Chick, if you disappearing, you also take care. I realize it's a busy night. This was just to, be an open circle, and I think we are winding down. But Sheila, do you want to take the floor and just tell us what you enjoyed about the post? What was it? Maybe we'll say that's where we sign off.
The post in general on the chat.
That vector, the cascade vector.
Yes, it was. I'm on the phone, and it's very hard for me to see because I need my specs on me.
All right. Well, I've put you on the spot so I can.
But you've got Ven. He's the fighter.
Yeah, Ben the fighter.
And exposing things, the tower, and all sorts. It's very, very interesting.
Okay. So anybody who wants to take a look at that on YouTube, you'll see on my channel there's the posts section. There's the post, and the story that Sheila's talking about is called the cascade vector, and I have set up an organize. Oh, hello. There we go. That's it. So there's a story there. Hey? Yeah. Okay.
There is. It's very, very interesting.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, and thanks for helping make it. It's everybody together, all contributing to make it. Sheila, I think it's a good time to sign off, and I'm going to say thank you for your delightful presence. And I want to say to Slim Chick, thank you very much. You've got some good ideas with the High Counselor, and Peps, of course, had some great ideas, and Lot Job, or J8B, Lot J8B. I was glad that you were able to stop by and just make a comment or just be present. So thank you very much. And for anybody else that we haven't seen, that's maybe just in the background there, thank you very much for coming onto the show. I'm Matthew Millais Gray, and this is Sheila from UK. Thank you very much, and we're signing off on our open circle. And remember that you are the reason that we are here. Go well.
See you later, Matthew.
Bye-bye, Sheila.
Bye. I don't know how to come off this. You'll have to just take me off.
I'll take you off. Go well.